and we can go. Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode, Take 10, where I get to interview my friends, confidants, my card game fam for you at home. And this week's episode, I got a special guest, Tim Keefe, our Timmy Two Belts, on my Mount Rushmore of UVS players. And Final Fantasy 14 players, because I don't know a whole lot of them personally.
Oh, am I supposed to? I guess I'm supposed to grab them.
Oh, dude, go grab them, man. Grab your belts. Give us a second. He's getting his belts, because I'm not prepared. So, but yeah, so I have Tim on. He was going to be on the AOT3 kind of like set thing I did with Tam, and that's number 1 or 2 bard. It's world's number 1 bard in my heart. Look at those belts; they're so shiny. That's awesome. There you go. There's the thumbnail right there. That's the thumbnail. That's the thumbnail. Um, yeah, like I've known Tim for a long time. I actually don't know how I actually met Tim originally. I know that
Yeah, I sure don't
I
remember.
don't remember how we met, but you know what? It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, Tim was going to be on the AOT3 set review with Zach and Tam a couple weeks ago, but he was under the weather, so
I was sick for the second time in like a 3-week span. I was like, I was just sick. What's happening?
I don't know. I don't know. But he was gracious to come on the show and chill with us today. So yes, the champ, Timmy Two Belts. Yes, we love it. We love it. So we all know that I have 10, sometimes more questions to ask. So let's get started. Start with the icebreaker. Tim, what was the last thing you ate today?
Nothing that exciting. Tyson makes these like grilled chicken nuggets
Okay.
in the frozen aisle that I get.
Mhm.
And so that was just my dinner. I made some grilled chicken nuggets and had some pretzel sticks. And
Hell yeah. I made some frozen taquitos. So I was
okay,
I was also in the frozen thing. I threw some in the oven when I got home from work, and they're actually very good. They were just like these cheapy Aldi ones, this like no name brand. It was just like crunchy. I don't know. It's really good. So, but chicken nuggets
yeah,
actually sound delicious as well. So,
yeah. It's grilled, so it's not, you don't get the thing where it's like 60% batter.
oh yeah,
It's just like
yeah.
you get actual chicken and it tastes
Mhm.
pretty good. So
Mhm. All right. Question one. One of these days, I'm gonna do like a cool thing where it's like,
oh, it's like a swish.
yeah,
Yeah,
swish
yeah, yeah,
by.
yeah.
But I'm too lazy to do that. Maybe I should have gone to the Content Creator Summit this weekend to find out how to do that. I don't know. But anywho, how'd you get into UVS? Or back when you played, when you started, it was UFS.
UFS.
What got your interest into the game, and what kept you here?
So it was late 2006. So this was I was a Magic player. All my my junior college buddies were Magic players, right? My family, right?
Hmm.
And so we were at the store for Friday Night Magic, and one of the frequent activities that we would, after classes, right after we were done playing Magic in the lounge, we would very often go to one of our buddies' place
Okay.
and play Handoff Soul Calibur 3.
Okay.
Right? We like actually sit down and play Soul Calibur 3, and I was a Sophitia main.
Hell
And my now
yeah.
brother-in-law
Okay.
was a Siegfried main.
Okay.
And so we're at the card shop for Friday Night Magic, and we're getting our prize support or whatever afterwards, and right next to the register is a Siegfried versus Sophitia battle box,
Okay.
and we're just like, well, I guess we're supposed to buy this. It's like clearly, So we took it home. Actually learned from the crazy fold-out sheet of paper somehow. I don't know how we did.
How?
In retrospect,
Those are so impossible to use.
we were actually able to work through that thing and,
Okay.
and learn how to play the game. And we may have gotten a rule or two wrong, but
Sure.
there were locals at the store that we got to go to,
Mhm.
and those decks were not balanced. It was not even close to fair.
Okay.
The Sophitia, one of the Sophitias basically said, enhance your opponent discards their hand. They can draw back after this attack resolves.
Oh, neat.
I can have a hand later.
Wow.
There was nothing reasonable going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in any event, I played with the second Sophitia in the battle box that was a little more fair.
Okay.
Right, and got to play some actual games.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so we went in. I also played a fair amount of like Capcom versus SNK 2,
Yeah.
just like single player mode for funsies.
Yeah.
And I was a Nakaru man, so I'm like, oh, they have SNK. Do they have Nakaru? They're like, yeah, we have Nakaru. I'm like, all right, well, I'm playing Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
I've got my SNK characters. Like, all right, I didn't like buy boxes or whatever right away.
Yeah.
I just said, after these FNMs, instead of getting like lottery pack magic boosters that I don't need, not that I'm buying cases of magic either, I'm a college student.
Yeah.
But like I have my magic deck built, I don't need these booster packs. I'll get UFS booster packs.
Okay.
So, every week after FNM, I would get, 2, 3, 4, however many I win booster packs of UFS and fold them into my deck. And they did a lot of mechanically unique promo characters at the time.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and what they did was they had every month there was a different mechanically unique character you got for spending $20 at your local game store.
Oh, cool.
So when we bought this battle box, I got this Shanghua promo, and that was my first constructed deck, was just this 7-hand size Shanghua that gave all life attacks plus 2 damage, did basically nothing else. I'm just like, well, these 2-check cards, I don't want to play these stupid 2-check cards, so I'll just play every 3-check card I can find at common and uncommon that I get in these packs.
Yeah.
And shove them into the Shanghua deck. I just don't want to check any 2s.
Yeah.
And all my moves will do at least some damage, and we'll figure it out.
Nice.
And like that deck was like not seriously competitive, right?
Yeah.
But it was okay enough to like tussle at locals with.
Okay.
And then the prize support at that time was, hey, we sent your store a pack of 20 different mechanically unique characters. And after your weekly events, just like you figure out what to do with them, but in our case it was they took 6 of them if they were 6 players and laid them out on the table, and whoever got first pick.
Okay.
Obviously if they already had the character they wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
So you'd get the character you want eventually.
Sure.
But every week you're getting a brand new character to think about.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I think that'd be something. I know like our community kind of poo-poos on the mechanically unique promo or whatever, but I think that would be kind of neat to introduce like that character thing, that you'd be able to introduce other characters from IPs that you didn't have in the set, right? Like you could do,
especially if they're going to do 1 set per IP.
Yeah, like you could do you could do Knives or someone like that. Andrew Holder. Right. I said Knives, Andrew Holder. I know you're not in chat, but you can hear me say it. You could do that, especially like you said, if you're only doing 1 booster set an IP, so you can do that.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's hard to know, retroactively how important that was in terms of me coming to locals every week, but I certainly wanted to come to locals every week and get another shot at, getting that Sakura I wanted.
Okay.
Okay. And if and this was there was different standards on what local prize support looked like in 2006.
Yeah.
Right, like FNM, you got your 1 monthly alt art, and that was like crazy sick, and there weren't other card games really.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but so it's hard to say. I do think they could use that carrot more, both to get new characters in and to like people get bugs in their heads about not having all the characters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If there's like a mechanically unique promo character and you just have to like show up at a local to get it, you're gonna show up at that local.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kind of like the Tekken characters. Yeah, like the Tekken characters were a huge draw. Like everybody wanted all of them. Granted, were they all in the same power level? No, not really. But everybody wanted them though, because they were mechanically unique new characters from an IP that haven't been in the game in years. So,
For martial law, I don't think they're that far apart aside from martial law. And like obviously,
yeah. Oh sure.
Devil Jin had Goblin Bolt printed for him.
Yeah, that's true. And Paul's still really good. It's just he has to learn how to.
Still pretty good. Link's pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. Chat says, was that SNK Cutting Edge or another one? Do you know?
Really, the first SNK set in this case.
Okay.
There was a promo Nakaruru that I never played.
Okay.
Because I was also a hipster back then, and she was too good. She was like too much of a known quantity good character.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Then Crossfate goes, oh yes, of course, the promo Sakura. So
yes, that Sakura.
That Sakura. I don't even know what that Sakura does. So I mean, was she super good?
Minus, I believe, de facto -2 speed to everything in an era where that wasn't a thing. Like minus speed didn't exist.
Yeah. Okay.
For the first few years of the game.
Okay.
And I believe you got to like name an attack each turn and make that a reversal.
Oh, that's kind of sick. That's kind of neat. All right.
Also, just a really nice looking card.
Okay. All right. What kept you here? To follow the end of the question.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I realized I was just having more fun at UFS locals than I was having at Magic locals.
Okay.
Especially the standard Magic locals, right? Not the draft ones.
Yeah.
And at college, I'm not actually playing either game, right? I'm out in college. There's no UFS play group. There is a Magic play group.
Okay.
I'm just like, I don't know. Like I'm selling my UFS cards to keep playing Magic. I'd rather sell my Magic cards
Cards to
and keep
playing.
playing UVS the
Sure.
few times a year that I can.
Okay.
And I was increasingly active on the forums and stuff. And there
Okay.
was more of a community there.
Okay.
I did a lot of forum. I might have been the first person to get 4X Blood Red True.
Oh, because
I had Nakaruru on the art. It wasn't even because the card was good.
because that Nakaruru.
I was just
huh?
like, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So I was like trading for those things immediately.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Just all
awesome.
the like buy mail forum trading.
I remember those. Yeah. I think we.
Like
Yeah. Go ahead.
I come back from college one
Yeah.
weekend. Right, the locals are still there and they're still playing, and I show up with my 4 Blood Rings. Like, why do you have 4 Blood Rings? Out of nowhere in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Thank you, Crossfate. Crossfate wrote out the entire character, so you're the MVP. You're the MVP. Yeah. About a quick side note about the forum trading, because I know, like, I believe we did a trade, and I think it was for. I think I might have traded for Elizabeth's ultra rare off of you, or it was the opposite. You wanted that, and I think you had paralyzing touches, and I think we just did a clean swap. It was 4 for 4. I didn't know values at the times or anything. I didn't know, and I think you said you had like 8 of them, so it wasn't even like that big of a
I
deal.
probably got like extra start. No, they weren't in start.
No, they weren't in starters, so I have no idea how you had so many, but you just like, here you go, and I was like, awesome.
Extra.
Yeah, it was just.
I actually had like locals in the Connecticut area in the Tides era for a little while.
Okay.
That's where we played that 2013 Nationals.
Okay.
I had to drive up an hour to get it, but I was like actually getting packs from locals for a little while Tides was out.
That's awesome. Man, what a set. What a set. That like I know Sketch actually just opened a sealed box of it not that long ago. Someone in the community.
Not many of those.
No, and I was just like, oh my god, that's like the holy grail for me, because like I like keeping sealed product.
That's how you started, right?
I started
with Tides.
I started with King of Fighters 13. I was just after Tides. So it was 13, and then because I saw the Darkstalker tins were at Gen Con, and I'm like, I know Morgan. I'm a Morgan main from the arcade game. I'm playing this game now. So then Corey got me into playing and demoed me.
Those.
You did? Oh, awesome! Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah! Scott sent me the tins because I don't have them anymore. So Scott sent me all the tins to put in my UVS shrine.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah. So question 2: your favorite symbol in the game?
I think it's ended up being life. It really has nothing to do with the symbol identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't care about gaining health. It's just, I do kind of like playing with progressive, right? I like playing cards out of order.
Sure.
A little bit. Like I think it's neat when you can play a 4 and then a 5 and then a 3, and that's why my 2 dot does what it does.
Yeah.
So I think that part of the life symbols, it kind of just ends up having a lot of the like cool quirky utility cards. Like it had revoke and reclaiming what's ours and Midst of Despair is in that progressive space, right? In terms of the Ymir deck, and it just like ends up getting when we had 3 symbols on every card, it was very often like splashed onto stuff from others. It just have a bunch of neat cards for whatever reason that I wanted to play. So it's kind of life. I don't have a like favorite symbol in terms of its classical identity. Symbol identities are all like 1 or 2 mechanics deep.
Yeah.
It's like air does pool clear.
Yeah.
Chaos does momentum. And death destroys foundation.
Yeah.
It's not like interesting enough for me to really get attached to a symbol for those reasons.
Yeah, very true. Very true. It's like I was having a conversation with someone the other day. I was like, oh, it was with my buddy Corey. And you know Corey Hicks. And he was like, well, he wished Filled with Doubt had evil or good on it to incentivize people to play that symbol. And I go, man, I can't even tell you what the good symbol does outside of cheats, block mods, and free builds. Like we were having like a weird conversation about like symbol identity, and it's just like, like things back in the day when we had 3 symbols kind of just all bled together in a way, and now with Attune, they kind of more focus on symbol identity in a way, But
they could, but they don't.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's all
like they sort of do.
Yeah.
But Attuned is an opportunity. If they wanted to, you probably can't do this with 12 symbols as part of the problem.
Yeah, I also had that conversation too. Yeah.
Of like, all right, the air symbol, these are the mechanics that only the air symbol will do. Here are the keywords the air symbol really likes. Here are, the types of foundation. You can go down. You can have a list of like 8 or 10 things that like this is what the air symbol does, and maybe some of those things the fire symbol also does, or the chaos symbol also does, or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can have like an actual magic article's worth of definition for like here's what belongs on this symbol.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to do that when you're changing symbols every IP,
Yeah.
right? So that makes it difficult. But like in theory, if they ever wanted to, they could take this attune system and probably kill 2 to 4 symbols, however many you need to like.
Yeah.
12 is just too many to really do this with.
Correct.
And then come up with a robust, like, okay, these are the symbols that draw cards, these are the symbols that filter cards.
Yeah.
Here are the symbols that can permanently get rid of foundations. These 2 are the destroy symbols, these are the flip symbols. These 2 symbols, they commit things. You can figure it all out and make it all like relatively equivalent and build identities that way. Like, this symbol really likes echo, this symbol really likes deflect.
Ooh, like deflect. Don't get me that. Hey, that's a good one. We love deflect. I love it. Just wish it was used more, and because
I don't know if I wish it like. It's cool until it's not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's cool until it's really annoying.
Yeah, very, very true. Yeah, I know. Like, speaking of champ cards that I know, like, because I was asking Mitchell, it's like, well, why wouldn't they let you do like breaker and deflect with this character? And then they're like, no, that they told him like something like it was just going to be too annoying to deflect like 5, like almost on or whatever, or like breaker X, because you can on that. Jason Chat says, I think we've talked about it, but I think they should define what symbols can never do. And then when they make 3 symbol characters, you just make shit that does it whatever except the things that oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, except exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different ways to parse it. I think if you're saying these are things the symbol does do, and you just accept the fact that your 3 symbol characters are gonna have some effects that are you're gonna have some non-air effects on your air fire character, and it is what it is.
All right, so Tim. So question 3. Tim messaged me back, and he went, I won't have an answer for this, right? Everyone knows what question 3 is. Everybody knows.
I would be lucky if I could successfully name which Marvel or DC 10 characters were from.
Okay.
Like if you name 10 superheroes, like I would only know it because of characters I've seen together in GIFs from movies. Right?
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So I went with a very Tim-themed question because I can do whatever I want. It's my show. Since Bard is your favorite class, if I'm not mistaken, in Final Fantasy XIV, what would your perfect Bard in UVS do?
So I previously thought about this non-zero amount because if I'm ever fortunate enough to get the 4th character, I would make it Bard themed. Right, that would be the point, and then I would definitely stop trying very hard. Right, that's the last thing I want to make. Right, it's just like try to put Bard in UVS.
Yeah.
So. Well, I was thinking, and playtest would fiddle with these numbers or whatever. 6 hand size, some health, whatever's normal at the time. 1 ability because it's long, but it would be bullet pointed, so it wouldn't read too ugly.
Okay.
That's important. You don't want people to look at your card and say, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not reading that." I'm happy for you. Sorry that happened, Nick Reagan. I don't know what that character does. So we get to use counters now.
Okay.
So after you check a 5, static. No choice. After you check a 5, exactly a 5.
Okay.
You get a song counter.
Okay.
If you have 1 song counter, this attack or the next attack, you may not be playing attack, so you have to like choose one.
Yeah.
Gets stats like +3, -3 speed and damage, kind of thing. If you have 2 counters, you ready 2 foundations. If you have 3 counters or more, somehow, draw 2 cards and remove all counters.
Okay.
And so that's your cycle. Right?
Okay.
Your song cycle.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah.
And so, like, your minuet is stats, your ballad is refreshing stuff, because that's what it does in the game. Your band is drawing your cards, because what the heck else are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. That
song does nothing aside from cycle for the next song. But, just like it, it's not a response, it's a static.
Yeah.
You don't really, it's random, and you don't have a whole lot of control over the pacing. It's
sure.
After you make a trick to play a card, specifically, right? And so that's kind of what it would be. It would be you would try to mimic the song cycle.
The song
on
cycle.
Cardboard.
Okay.
And then in between me putting this card into playtesting and the card actually releasing, they would finally rework Bard into something that is a modern design that makes sense, and the character wouldn't make sense anymore.
Exactly, you're correct. Chat says
Yeah.
get Yoshi P to play, but don't let him design cards because the Fizz range would be bad. That is facts.
I,
As a
I,
dancer main, yes, but
every tier I have to study if I'm supposed to go learn Black Mage because Bard's not worth bringing anymore. And the other physical range, forget it. Right? It's
yeah,
only just Bard's hyper scaling when
yeah.
the full party is geared is just better than
Yeah,
Limited.
I was like the question also was going to be like Bard versus Dancer and why. I didn't need you shitting on my job for 35 minutes, so I didn't want that.
Uh,
So
Dancer's fun.
yeah,
Dancer
it is fun.
is
Yes.
certainly it takes less mental energy to
Hmm.
play, especially if you're doing prog. Right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
trying to learn new mechanics,
yeah.
and like, well, the way it works out is you end up spending enough time in these fights that if you're familiar with Bard, you just kind of internalize the timings over time. Anyway,
Oh,
it's not that
sure,
big of a deal.
sure.
But like, still, it's easier to be on Dancer
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah. No.
And when the whole party's not geared, when it's just the one melee DPS that you're feeding all the gear to,
Yeah.
it's a little bit stronger than Bard. Once
Oh,
the rest of
yeah.
the party catches up,
Catches up.
you watch the graphs for every tier, and it's very funny. Like Bard and Dancer are like really close, Dancer a little bit ahead, and
Yeah.
then like the 5-6 weeks hit when the people that aren't DPS start getting gear, and the Bard just starts.
Oh,
going down.
just starting scaling. Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I could see that. I would play the hell out of your
Machinist
character, by the way.
Yeah, Machinist is good when your party is a bunch of shambling corpses,
Yeah.
which is not that much of a joke. That happens.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
The
Yeah.
DPS check for the first couple Savage fights only matters if your party is mostly dead half the time. Right?
Yeah.
You
True.
need to die like 12 times for those DPS checks to matter. So Machinist is actually unironically really good for racing like the first couple fights.
Okay. Okay.
Unless they have like really scary mechanics at the very, very end near the enrage that you might get to skip with the other jobs. Machinist is actually pretty
Okay.
good for early prog.
Question 4. Favorite IP in the game?
Yeah, I think it has to be Soul Calibur. I think it's the only IP I've had like prior engagement with before it showed up to UVS.
Okay.
Right? Like UVS got King of Fighters, like okay, I'll go check out the King of Fighter games. I got
Yeah.
MHA, like okay, I'll go watch MHA. Right? I've done some of that. I never really had any exposure to Darkstalkers before it. I never played Street Fighter really.
Okay.
I think I didn't watch Cowboy Bebop until UVS got it. I guess I had seen Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Right, back in the Toonami days.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's just Soul Calibur.
Okay.
I think Soul Calibur is also a good, like, even if you're not a Soul Calibur fan, you can look at the Soul Calibur roster and look at their weapons and like get the vibes from their cards and
Sure.
have some characters that you like.
Yeah.
I think Seventh Cross was good for that too. Right? There are some IPs that are just like, yeah, even if you don't know anything, you can probably find some stuff that you like from this IP.
Yeah.
And so even if like I was only really a Sophicia main, there's other characters like, oh, that character's neat. You know?
Yeah, I never really played. I was more of a Mortal Kombat Street Fighter guy, and then I played Darkstalkers because I like the aesthetic, and then like I've played Soul Calibur very like sparingly, but I usually play Taki or Sophicia, so it's like
Yeah.
I main female characters because they're just way cooler than male characters. So it's just the way it is.
Not Sue in Soul Calibur 5 when they decided that getting rid of half their cast was a good idea.
Yeah. Marvel versus Capcom and UVS when? I'll take Capcom All Stars because MVC ain't never gonna happen because they have to have that Disney money, baby. You know that. But Capcom All Stars would be cool. Mega Man, all that stuff. Like you could get Strider. I'd be cool with that. So I would not say no to that stuff. So. Question 5. What is your favorite mechanic and why? And please, I know it's not reversal, so maybe. I don't know.
This might be a wacky answer.
Okay.
I think it's Breaker.
Breaker? Okay.
Yeah, I think Breaker's a very well designed mechanic. I think you can have it on cards that do a bunch of other things, right? And the Breaker's a nice add-on. The decks I like to play in an ideal world are trying to slow down the aggro decks and then counter swing them pretty quickly. And you can have some Breaker in your decks without interfering with it too much. As a defensive mechanic, it inverse scales. Right, it's a defensive tool that is much better early than it is later in the game, and I think that's very healthy. Right, I think that's how defensive tools should be.
Correct.
And it's kind of hand trappy, which is one of the good ways to kind of trip up someone who thinks they're going to kill you and they're full sending.
I like it. I like it. Like I like Breaker's been a really cool like it's been through this journey, right, in our game where it did one thing and now it does a different thing, but it still was kind of similar, the same thing, like in because it used to.
Yeah, it still does. It does what it always did.
Yeah,
Just it doesn't have stupid loopholes anymore.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, like you
Right.
can't.
It had some like really dumb loopholes around surrounding reversals and failing to
Mhm.
block reversals and things like that were
Mhm.
never intuitive. And
Yeah.
at least one of my goals when I had say in the rules, which I sure don't now, was to try to have less of those like gotcha moments where someone who's newer to the game loses the game to a ruling that they didn't expect.
Oh, sure.
Um, I think that the infamous one, and this fueled some of the like attack versus attack card stuff, was that like there was an old Vincent Gray character who committed to give -3 to a check to play an attack,
Oh, sure.
and back then that was allowed to work on blocks, and nobody expected it to because you read the card and that's not what you think it does.
Mhm.
And then someone would die because they thought they could block, and haha, your block gets -3 to its check, you lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like very fast way to make someone think the rules of this game are very screwy. And now,
Yeah.
instead you have these like differences in definition between playing attack and playing attack card, which
Mhm.
also isn't great.
Yeah.
There are ways they could have worded that better in hindsight and have had many chances to change it and haven't.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the bottom half, and this is the question with contention that a lot of people I don't know. I haven't had anybody have like a hot take on it or be really mad or whatnot. But question 6: do you think the
does that
monthly?
make it opposite of contentious?
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just saying words.
Nobody has a take.
I no. I don't know. I don't know. I just say words. I don't know what they mean.
I'm not going to be any better.
I'm just here. I just work here, man. That's all I do. Number 6: do you think the monthly ban and errata list is doing its job?
Sure. Its job is to be a monthly ban and errata list, right? Its
Mhm.
job is to uh, allow players to largely predict when stuff might happen,
Sure.
and to perhaps, I don't know, but I would imagine internally they get some value out of forcing themselves to review the format every month.
Yeah.
Because when you're just in the bunker working on stuff that's going to come out in August of 2026, or whatever they're doing right now, you're not leaving that to think about current standard very much unless you have a forcing function.
Yeah.
And not that you're not going to like watch your events and stuff, but 90% of your time is spent worrying about next year.
Yeah.
And only occasionally maybe you have your internal locals where you play the current format, but it's only going to be so competitive,
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it does good in that way too.
Mhm.
Are they handling the ban list exactly how I would? I'm not sure. There's a bunch of different reasons you could ban a card, and people are going to have different barometers for those things. I think they could probably do a better job of not printing quite as risky cards. Obviously, if you're not taking any risks, you're not making very exciting cards.
True.
But you can still, the design space is infinite, so to say, right? Like you can always just not print a card you say is you identify as risky and find another exciting thing you can print that's still exciting and still maybe pushing an envelope, but pushing a better envelope to push. Instead of printing Unrelenting Advance and just hoping it's okay. And it might be. Right?
Yeah, it might be.
They could win that bet.
Yeah.
But I don't.
True.
I mean, I'm always an advocate of like it costs you nothing to just not print the thing.
True.
Like
Yeah.
you can. If you have, unless you're really really big rush, and there's always deadlines and things like that, you can always find something else exciting to do.
Yeah. True. All right. Number 7: if you could have one IP brought into the game, what would it be?
Yes. Anyone who sees me on Discord knows it's obviously Genshin.
Yeah.
It's Genshin Impact.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. So like, as much as I'm a fan of Final Fantasy,
Mhm.
in a UVS context where it's really like, are you a fan of characters?
Sure.
Right. Are you gonna buy like merch for the characters and to some extent the attacks? And I would be pretty excited about a number of Final Fantasy attacks. There's not a lot of. It's not like expressly about the characters for me, right? Like I'm not. If you ask me to like name my favorite Final Fantasy characters, I would have a hard time like coming up with a top 5.
Sure.
Not because there's too many to choose from, just because like, yeah, I don't know, like they're neat, I like them, but it's more about like the whole cast and the ensemble and the story and the adventures you go through and things like that. Than it is about Thancred. I like Thancred.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's probably my favorite Scion, but like, it's not like by a mile. I'm not gonna like go buy Thancred merch or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, the way Magic gets to do it, where like you're summoning 5 different characters in Final Fantasy, is more interesting to me than like playing, you know,
Oh,
as
a single character.
Garnet in
Yeah.
UVS.
Yeah, true.
Whereas Genshin and the other Hoyo games are very obviously much more character driven by their nature. Like, that's the point. That's what they're selling, right?
Yeah.
They're selling characters, and of course, it's a very big license. It would be very good for the game. It's it's very easy. You have a bunch of characters. They have kits. They have 3 or 4 moves each.
Oh,
they have backstories.
there you go. Yeah.
You know, these games could not be more built for UVS. If
Yeah,
tried, right?
sure.
So,
Sure.
both from a business standpoint, and I'm sure UVS Games has looked into trying to getting it. I'm sure it's very expensive, and they can't justify spending that much on a game this size.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be my dream license.
Okay.
Somewhat obviously, the like more cool, more niche stuff that UVS Games shouldn't actually do licenses are probably like Octopath and Trails.
Okay. Yeah.
Both of which are, you know, cool JRPG series that I really like and that I like a number of characters from, but are not big enough to just.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Maybe if you just want to like hit the JRPG audience, you could do a challenger thing for Octopath or something.
Yeah.
But like, they're not that big.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Like
JRPGs are kind of niche.
What was it? I think it was like, was it a year ago when Paul said something on Twitter or replied to something? It was like something about. It was something kind of like teasing.
He was just like randomly upvoting like posts about how big of an IP Genshin is.
Yeah.
Genshin is a huge IP.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to like. I think people who don't really follow, you know, or even like try to follow a little bit, don't quite understand the differences between how big Genshin is versus how big the other two are. And I like the other two too, Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero. I play those games.
Okay.
But if you think about like how Magic has a bunch of kitchen table players who you're like never going to see or hear about at locals and local summers, Genshin's kind of like that. It is, you know, all the games are free to play friendly, but Genshin's probably the most, you get by far the most out of Genshin for absolutely nothing.
Oh, cool. So
there's just
that's
a
awesome.
lot of players that just play Genshin very casually, you know, maybe a few times a patch, right? They play for the story, they do some exploring.
Okay.
That you'll never see in like the dollar figure revenues.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have to be excited because I know like I know like every time a new character comes out, I watch the trailer, and the trailers are usually really cool. So like not that I've never played it, I've tried it, and it wasn't for me. So, but like I think I'd be down. I'd be down to get it in the game because one, it would make other people happy, and then again it would bring a lot of money in for the game. Kind of, you know, so. Kind of like how the Riftbound thing should come out to make them money, I would assume, right? So it's just
yeah.
You know?
I mean, they're obviously getting a cut of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I don't expect it to. Maybe we'll get some like table scraps, League of Legends stuff in UVS.
Yeah.
But obviously, priority one is pushing Riftbound as a CCG. They don't want to siphon those players.
Oh, true, for sure. I could see like a challenger deck or something like that, or promos or something maybe. I don't know.
Maybe after a couple of years, like if Riftbound is established and like, all right, Riftbound's 20 times your size, you can have a challenger.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you know that would, you know, I could see the Doom posting now. Riftbound 20 times the size. Oh no, what's gonna happen to our game? You know, but. I mean, we've been around for this long. I don't think anything's going to kill it, to be honest. You know?
I think UVS Games genuinely, you know, whether it's business rational or not, I think they don't want to be the ones to drop the ball. Right?
Correct.
They don't want to be the ones that let the. It might get run with a much smaller staff or whatever. This game's been run by 3 people before.
Yeah,
right?
very true.
And if you're using like a bunch of shared assets, you're using the same printers at Riftbound and things like that. Like, I'm sure. No matter how successful Riftbound is, UVS will continue in some way, shape.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I agree. All right. This one's actually very interesting because I don't know. I'm a big fan of the teams, and I've teamed with you before. So, not that I expect to be on this list, but I want to know who's on your list, right? So.
I appreciate that the like all retired part of this might be less of an issue. It is you and Slam. It's like I would want to run it back.
Oh no shit! Oh wow! Okay, wow! Oh boy!
I've teamed together like 3 times trying to get there. Like made top 4, top 8 every time.
Yeah. If you Sorry, it's the teams thing, everybody. We all love teams in this game.
I
So,
didn't let him get the question out.
yeah, let me get the question. Yeah, you get your choice of 2 players. Can be current or retired to pick for a teams event. Who are they and why? So yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Chris Smith and Mark Wisniewski.
Hell yeah,
We
we love Slam here in
back
this
when
house.
back when I was out in Connecticut, I didn't have a locals. I teamed with Chris and Mark. I think 3 times, maybe 4 times at majors.
Maybe I don't
And
remember how many, but yeah,
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 I
yeah,
think we always made top cuts
yeah,
and then got eliminated somewhere
yeah,
in there.
yeah.
I've been pretty cursed when it comes to teams. I've made a lot of top fours, a
Hell
lot
yeah.
of teams top fours. And the only time I've ever made a team's finals, we won in the UK, so I have that card coming.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. Is that anytime soon-ish?
The text is done and the art is just about done. So
Oh hell
probably before
yeah!
then.
Let's go. A new Tim Keefe card. We love this. We love this.
It's gonna be team. They might. The team was called Yeetus Deletus, so after some internet meme, I don't know
Yeah.
what it was. Some
Yeetus
Destiny game with
elitist.
Halo or something.
Yeah.
And they may decide that's too much like Jey Uso, and they fuss with the name a little bit.
Ah,
but
gotcha.
It'll
Okay.
be something like that.
I don't know, man. Yeetus elitist sounds pretty good, though. That sounds amazing. Then we can always say yeet when it comes out. That'd be great.
And people are gonna blame me for the card's text.
Yeah.
I deliberately told the teammates, you guys get to decide what this card does.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool. Awesome.
And then people are gonna complain that like I just made a very Tim Keefe card. I had nothing to do with it.
You heard it here, folks. That has nothing to do with it. You heard it
Yeah.
here. All right. So number 9, your favorite current deck right now.
So my Funsies local deck has been, and it's like not bad. It's in that space of mid-range decks that can kind of fight anything, but it's hard to know if it's like actually good enough.
Mhm.
But I've been playing a Void Knot.
Okay.
Not one, not the Brave with the where you like gamble to get the top card, you discard.
Okay.
Some of this is I wanted to play like Barrier Shield and Dark Ward in the same deck,
Mhm.
so I could ostensibly, stave off both Devil Jin and Nick Reagan.
Yeah.
That was kind of the genesis. I want to play Void and Death or
Mhm.
Fire and Death or something like that. And I liked the Chaos Net that I played for a while last year. And, we get to put a damage and some stun on a bunch of armies. We get to play the good ones. We get to play Sweeping Daggers. We get to play Valiant Animus Shot. We get to play Ice Sword Execution, Tri-Gravity.
Yeah.
And the, like, how are you going to kill a deck that's defending itself really hard is kind of question mark.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a hand exhaustion thing where Not's usually going to have one extra attack compared to whatever she actually draws because she gets to go pick one up out of discard.
Oh, that's true.
and
Yeah.
hopefully not gamble one away. But we're playing some like Foundation Pump on Foundations. We're playing I never remember the name of the card. Pressured by All for One.
Oh, yeah, the one that's
2
set.
colors, you destroy 2
Yep.
counters for 3 damage.
Mhm.
We're playing some of the Hiei lose 1 health for a damage because that might let us get under them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're playing a tight 60 card so that we can play some 2x's and still like draw them at a good rate
Okay.
without having to like go up to 3x of our uniques and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a tight 60. It's very similar to a Melina I built way back in the day that I talk about a lot. Was 60 cards with a bunch of 1x uniques just to like make sure I found my stupid 1x uniques.
Yeah.
I was just like half my foundation base was powerful void uniques.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Yeah.
And so this is sort of similar. I haven't updated it for AOT3 yet.
Yeah.
I've tampered with the idea of like making a video out of me. It's a bad video because I'm just kind of like running around Ultra, but like
Mhm.
I don't know. It could be interesting.
I mean,
to just watch a deck upgrade for the new set.
I haven't seen a Tim Keefe video in a long time, and I used to watch you religiously
Yes.
every morning for any news video, breakfast, coffee,
Yeah,
watching my
I
news.
Yeah, I stopped doing the news thing because I started doing it because UVS Games was doing a terrible job
Correct.
of like
Yeah.
putting their news in organized places, and that's kind of passed right there.
Yeah.
If something's getting announced, you can find it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was just a lot to kind of like force myself to do X amount, even if there's not a whole lot to talk about or whatever.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
But then it just becomes right. I make a video when like I have something I want to make a video on.
Yeah.
And then I started the podcast with the Vortex guys.
Yeah. Mhm.
So some of my stuff, like the box opening, wound up de facto being on there, and the card previews wound up being on there.
Okay. Yeah.
I was planning to make a video about spam counts.
Okay.
I was writing like a JavaScript like simulation type thing
Mhm.
for how often you get 4 builds, 5 builds with different spam counts and stuff,
Mhm.
and I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong with the player 2 version of it
Okay.
because it's spitting out some like numbers that don't make sense. Like hands with more spam are getting less builds, and that that doesn't work that way.
No, it usually
Like,
doesn't. Yeah.
yeah. So I probably have to put the kibosh on that. It wasn't telling us anything that interesting anyway. It's kind of what
Hmm.
we already know.
Yeah.
The spam has a very diminishing returns.
Yeah.
After your first, 3, 4, 6 or whatever in a 60 card deck, you're not really getting a whole lot of add more zeros
Correct.
usually.
Yeah.
Aside from like maybe improving your like odds of building a full 6 going second
Mm.
from like 5% to 12% or something like that.
Hmm.
But building an extra foundation in 5% of your games is a 5% of the games on one side, like 1 in 40 games,
Yeah.
because you have to be going second, is like a once every other tournament thing.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's not very good.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
So, PSA don't if you're not running 2 checks, you don't have to run more than like 10% of your deck as zeros, and that's
Yeah.
even maybe a little too much.
Yeah. I know. I've dropped down from. Well, I used to run like 11 to 12. Depends on
They
the.
used to do things, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so
They. I want them to do stuff. So it's
they
like.
used to be release.
Yeah.
Like it's different when your zeros are release.
Like was it keeping Eerie safe is usually in there. If say it's like my life deck is keeping Eerie safe, Pro Hero 10, and Syndicate target, but like not.
Life has
yeah.
like a reasonable amount of like
Yeah.
interesting options at zero because we got like the 6 check good block stuff.
Correct.
You can play the Toga card to
Yep.
pick them up.
Yep. Yep.
Life's one where you could run it for reasons other than like you're running this many zeros, but it's not. You would run some of them if they were ones.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Especially with the zero
Like
low
I would
block.
I would
Yeah.
run surprising skill if it was
Yep.
a one. Like
Mm-hmm.
So
It acts like it's a zero that plays like a one, or or even like what they made a one. They made an outwit card that's a 1/5 and AOT3 that does the exact same thing
it's like
for them.
part of surprising.
Yeah,
skill.
part of surprising skill. So yeah, it's just I think people poo-poo it because of the block, and it's like I don't know. I think I'm always just building it anyways, unless I absolutely need it, right? So cool. Yeah, like I'm excited. Like I like not one a lot. I never got to play her because I was playing Vex more when those decks came out because I'm a huge Vex fan, and
Yeah.
but I'm really a big fan of not two, so I can appreciate like the gambling aspect and the character.
Yeah.
I think the character's pretty cool. I think not one is. She had some pretty good showings. Was it AOT one? She like some chaos versions did pretty well. I think
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
And the cast one still might be better though. But like you're playing Runaway instead of Barrier Shield, and that's probably
Yeah.
a little bit better right now.
Yeah.
You just like you don't get to run Sweeping Dagger Animus Shot.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah.
Obviously, I really like Animus Shot. I've been half jokingly trying to get them to reprint Bloody Funeral for like 15 years, and so they put that on a card I want to play.
Yeah. True. All right. So you did mention this earlier. Where can people find you? And any shout outs to anybody tonight?
So yeah, people can find me more regularly at 4ChecksCast, the number 4ChecksCast on Twitch and YouTube. We do most Thursdays when people are like in town and stuff. We do a little podcast show that was originally going to be like an hour, but it's probably just more like 2 hours realistically. I didn't want to have 2 hours. The way these things tend to go.
Yeah.
4 people is a lot.
Yes.
To have speak on all your topics and not have it go pretty long.
Mhm.
Those go up to YouTube and on. My own YouTube channel is Cetonis, Cetonis. I have, plenty of like old videos there that are probably still of interest, like some, player tips type of stuff.
Mhm.
Actually, publishing new videos, as just mentioned, is very sporadic.
Yeah.
It's hopefully not just like once a month, but it really just depends on when I have something that I feel like is worth making a video on.
Oh yeah.
I was also going to do a video about like deck check, doing the pre-match deck check and how to go about that, but it turns out they like keep not doing that at events, even though they're supposed to be, because they can't get the software to work.
Oh.
So like I can't make that video either. So like every
Oh
time
wow.
I've had a couple videos I've wanted to make that I just like don't actually get to make for one reason or
Okay.
another. But
Okay. Yeah.
we'll put something up sometime.
All right. I mean, I always hit play the minute I see a video from Tim. I watch it. It's always even it's nothing even it's not like pertaining to me, and I just like I like the way you think about the game. I like the way you play. I like the way your mind works in the game, and I like try to adapt that because you have cardboard, I don't, and so I want to have cardboard one day. Yeah, listen. Yeah, of course I am. I am. You're definitely right. Definitely right. He deserves his flowers, man. He deserves his flowers, Crossfade. He does. But yeah, cool. That will wrap this week's episode of Take 10. Tim, thanks for coming on. Um,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, not anytime, man. Anytime you want to come back. Maybe for Ninja Turtles set review, which is like in 5 months. We're planning. We're making plans, making moves.
Three,
Three?
2, 3
I don't
months,
know.
probably.
It,
Right, it releases. It's probably going to be visible before Gen Con, right?
oh, that's
'Cause I
true.
assume
Yeah, that's true.
well,
Yeah.
who knows if they're gonna? They didn't get on the event calendar. Maybe they got on the event calendar and there's such a
Oh,
bug or something.
yeah.
I assume like end of July probably.
Oh,
Yes.
sure. Yeah, so it's a couple months, not that bad. So yeah, yeah. Anyways, thanks again. You can find this man all over the internet for Checkscast. Go watch. It's a really good show. I do think they need to go for 4 hours, 1 hour for each person. That would be the best, best soapbox ever. I would love it.
God.
I know, right? Once a week's not that bad. We could break it up like a Critical Role episode. But yeah, again, thanks.
Put everyone on a chess timer. You get 1 hour.
You get
halfway through the show.
Yep.
Justin can't talk anymore.
You goddamn right. Yep, you were correct. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Go sub on Tim's channel. Go sub on 4Checkscast. Don't forget to comment. All that fun stuff. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.